you know, healing is not linear. Someone wrote that, and I really like relate to that. Like, it's gonna ebb and flow. It's gonna go up and down. Like, how do you pull yourself out of it and back up? Like,
well, I'd first say don't try to pull yourself out of it. You're probably feeling that way because you need to feel whatever those emotions are. I tried for a very, 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 very long time to just like push it down and move forward. And that made it a lot worse when I could no longer push it down.
Welcome back to Straight Candid Podcast
with Sid
and Soph, where we take pride in normalizing taboo conversations, saying the wrong thing, drinking too much caffeine, and talking too fast.
Here at Straight Candid, we live unfiltered. No edits, deletes, or drag and drops. Just two Minneapolis girls who hit record and keep it candid.
Let's get into it. Jackson. Journey. What did you just say?
what did you just say? Please repeat.
I just get a text from my buddy, and he says, LMAO, I accidentally pepper sprayed a girl last night.
How?
He says, first of all, car had karaoke, and then I pepper sprayed her.
What the? Wait, what?
I'm just like, pause.
There is an Uber that has karaoke in Minneapolis. I've heard people talk about this.
Okay, that was probably it.
I bet it is. But more importantly, how the F did he pepper spray some girl?
Oh my gosh. Okay, should I read it?
Yeah.
I just can't read it. So he's like, it's a birthday girl, I guess. It was her birthday too.
Stop.
Oh my God, this keeps getting better. Okay, anyway, he says, we get to her place and I grabbed the keychain and I was like, I wonder what this is. Is it a lighter or is it chapstick or what? I pressed the button thinking it was a lighter or something and ended up pepper spraying the girl in her face.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
You guys.
Not only is it's her birthday and he went like home with her and ends up pepper spraying.
Oh my God. Do you know how bad her eyes are going to burn for like days? It literally makes you like temporarily blind.
If that isn't a Straight Candid moment, we just made it one. That's great.
What in the hell?
How do you not know? A lighter? Dumbass, dude.
You really have to try to open those two. You have to like move something over, press it down. Like it's like they make it hard.
Oh yeah, it's difficult.
I walked through a pepper spray once. I didn't get pepper sprayed. They had just pepper sprayed people and then I walked out and I literally have never felt a sensation like that in my entire life.
Miserable.
I couldn't see. My eyes were just pouring out water. It was terrifying.
So should we recap the night a little bit then? Jackson, how was your night? It was great. It was a great night.
We did all hit the town last evening.
It was almost
evening.
a Straight Candid outing without Jackson.
Yeah,
you were
trying
there.
to track you down. I kept bouncing around. Damn it. I'm so excited to see Sid drunk and I missed an opportunity.
I didn't look at my phone once last night. I won't lie. I don't know why I
clearly.
don't look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, clearly he goes, he's pissed. No, that was really fun.
It was really fun. It was a great
were
time.
Our little crew.
Yeah. Yo, all of a sudden the lights were on, bar closed. It was a great ass time. It really
Honestly,
was. Do you
though-
remember when we were flashing our titties?
I need to take a sip of my coffee.
She's laughing because she knows it's true.
I don't remember that, and
Yeah,
no,
she does.
No, I don't.
It was at the beginning of the night.
I don't think I was a part of this.
No, actually though, we
weren't in a public place.
No,
So.
like you know, like when you're with all your girlfriends beforehand and everyone's getting a little weird.
Everyone's
all of
being
a sudden,
annoying.
everyone just whipped out their boobs at the pregame.
I'm embarrassed.
Anyways,
Anywho,
it was a great night. It was fun. What do we have any Straight Candid moments that happened last night?
I'm thinking. Oh well. Okay, I told you this right before we started recording.
Yeah.
I was sitting here kind of in despair, and I go, God, it is so horrible when you watch yourself on the Ring camera the night before. Like I have a Ring camera
outside your house.
Yeah, and you just
so you watched yourself come in.
Yeah, I did. It was just like.
Okay, explain it.
I
So
was
you
just
were
like-
hungover in the morning.
I was just kind of like, okay, well, and then it tells you when there's like, oh, there's a motion at the front door. And so I went to look at it this morning, and obviously it was me, but I couldn't put two and two together because I'm having a little brain fart this morning. And I literally me crossing over, like, because I ran a little too fast on the slippery driveway, and I'm in my really tall heels, and I like
Doing
did a
the
little
karaoke dance?
crossover. And I kind of did like stand up straight. And I remember I was like, oh, I hope Ike doesn't think I'm like too drunk, whatever. And I did like a little crossover to the door. And I fiddled at the door
Oh my
trying to put
God.
the code in for like way too long. You know what I mean? Anyway, but I will say when I got upstairs, I had been so quiet. I did my routine still, even though it was late.
Yeah, I did
hadn't
too.
bugged Jordan.
I literally always wash my face and brush my teeth.
Me too.
Every single time.
You have to. Otherwise you wake up with stank breath. And I'm like, I'm perfect. Turn off the light. I can't see, but I'm going to go right to bed. I have my hands out like this. I knock my glass of water over onto the entirety of everything. Not only the bed, but all over the table and behind the table. Like there's cords back there. There's books. I was like, God damn it. I had been so quiet. And then that happens. Anyway.
I think it's funny when you wake up in the morning and you get home after a night out and every piece of clothing is just like pieced, like trailing to your bed. So like I knew exactly where I was when I got home and it was just like shoe, next shoe, pants, shirt, like in a row.
Yep.
Also last night I left 2 voicemails.
What?
To the guy I'm seeing. I don't really know what I said. I left.
You didn't.
And I sent 5 Snapchats. So don't remember those really. So
I did the opposite.
haven't received a text this morning and
No,
we're
stop.
done. We're just
No,
done.
stop.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh
I'm
my
kidding.
God. I
He
was like,
literally
oh my God.
He goes, I loved your voicemails. I'm like, oh, okay, good.
I have the scaries a little bit. I don't like when you kid. I
Yeah.
can't really tell if you're joking. I'm like, oh God.
I will say, y'all, we're just starting this off with this upbeat thing because we honestly do not go out.
No,
this
we never.
much.
I
Like
never
we're
do.
making it
I
sound
never
like
do.
we're just like slosh girls on the weekend, but this was like kind of. I did dry January.
This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Okay, we hit the town and it was wonderful. All right.
We hit the
If you're
town.
judging, I'm sure you've hit the town before. I'm 24. I'm allowed. All right. Yeah. Anyway, you guys, I have something to say. Our Lululemon event is not February 5th. In fact, even though I've told you that 3 times on 3 separate occasions on the podcast, it's actually March 5th because that's Women's Empowerment Day. And International Women's Day is in March. I don't know why I thought it was March already. And I kept saying it doesn't matter.
We were sitting grabbing coffee. We're like, oh my gosh, this event's next weekend.
We're like, holy crap, it's in a week. Like we haven't even prepared. Like,
and then we're like trying to figure this out. We read the date, March 5th. We're like, wait, March 5th?
I'm embarrassed.
So y'all, we got a month.
We got a month.
Bring your friends. It's going to be a hyped up situation. Lululemon Mall of America, right?
Lululemon Mall of America at noon, March 5th. And no, it is not just women. Everyone is welcome. It's for International Women's Day, but obviously men, women, whoever you are, however you identify, you're welcome.
I was joking with Jackson about this event because he was like, you got to have more guys come to your event because Straight Canada listeners, they're bomb. Like we have a great demographic.
We do.
We got lots of
Lots of
fun,
cuties.
lots of cuties, single ladies. But anyways, it's a good spot for the men to just migrate to. Just saying.
Just saying. So no, we've built an amazing community and we're so thankful for it. So it's going to be amazing. Sorry, I sound a little groggly today. I feel like I'm speaking from like a little straw in the bottom of my throat.
You sound groggy and I sound phlegmy.
That word.
My spit is like extra thick.
Stop. I hate because I get an image and now I'm nauseous. Stop. Seriously. I need more Busy's coffee. I'm so freaking thirsty. Do we have any in here? No, we don't. I thought I brought one in. I have been literally like slurping down that shit, but it is strong as a mofo.
Mine's almost gone already.
Is it already?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. You guys, I just want to say something. Busy's Coffee, which it's our buddies who work for it. It's a local coffee company, and I had no idea that it is number 1 on Amazon.
Yeah, it's
like,
so good.
That's
though.
insane. But like literally, like Starbucks is number 2, and they're like a local company, like competing with big dogs, like they're a Minneapolis brand.
I think they started University of St. Thomas. The guys who went to University of St. Thomas, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to check them out, we have if you use the code Candid, you get 20% off. So if you wanted to go get some coffee house, okay.
Did you say hose?
Yeah, I did.
Yes. Ooh, that was aggressive, Sid. I liked that.
Oh, I'm getting scary.
I'm getting scary.
I'm scary.
Okay,
today.
straight Canada moments other than last night.
Yes.
Do you have anything from the past
Let
week?
me see what I wrote down.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie. Jordan plays in a broomball league, and I was like, I played hockey, so like, to me, I'm like, broomball. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, babe. Like,
I remember when you told me you played broomball, and you were like cringing.
I was kind of cringe because they have broomball shoes, and they're like weird. Like I'm telling you, they look like Etnies or something, like times 40. They're huge, and they're like a big cushion on the bottom. And I just think broomball is weird. Like I think cricket is kind of weird, and I think broomball is kind of weird. And I can't tell you why and where I formed that opinion.
I'm so sorry.
What?
But because you said Etnies, I just remembered my dream. You guys,
Okay, what? Okay,
I
what?
had
Tell
a
me.
dream that I was wearing obnoxiously high heelys. It literally just came to me. And I was trying
Was
to
this last night?
Yes, I think so. Or it really happened. I don't know. But I was like at a gas station. I was at a gas station.
Okay.
And I was like trying to act normal, but I couldn't because my heelys were really high. And I was rolling down the aisles. Okay, that's literally all I remember.
That's so random.
Sorry. It was just like a deja vu
You go,
moment.
or it actually happened. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think that was real.
No, it
I think that
wasn't.
was a dream.
I'm really hungover. I'm just like my
I
brain.
can't with you. Sorry, I'm
is
so warm. I'm
bouncing.
having heat flashes.
Okay, back to broom ball.
okay.
I'm so sorry. I just had
Anyway.
to share.
I totally downplayed it because I played hockey and I was like, oh, pond hockey versus broom ball. Like, what is broom? I don't know. Sorry. I totally judged it. If you're playing it, I get it. But listen, went to a game, watched Jordan. I still thought it was a little bit cringy, but he's really good at it. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool, whatever. And then my friend said, would you like to be in a broom ball league? And I kind of laughed and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, whatever. And so I showed up there the other night. It's fucking hard. And I went hard in the paint, okay? I got out there.
I guess you being so competitive.
But I looked like a cartoon character because I didn't have broom ball shoes, right?
Oh.
So I was like trying to run in place and your feet just go underneath you and then I'd wipe out. Like I
Yeah.
literally looked like a dweeb.
Yeah.
I looked like the
Naff.
dweeb that I was making fun of. Yes.
So you're like, I'm not going to be this unathletic piece of shit.
No. So you know what I'm going to do?
You're going to get.
I'm going to go get broom ball shoes. So full circle, everybody. Full circle. I made judgments. I casted judgments. Karma came around. I got a really bad bruise on my knee. And now I'm getting broom ball
This bitch
shoes.
is about to get broom ball shoes.
And on
what
the
do
way
they,
home,
what do they look like?
Just to bring it all the way home. On the way home, I stopped at Taco Bell and I just dove into my new personality. I was like, yes.
You did actually, though.
I did actually because nothing was open.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna lie, every time I go to Taco Bell, I think about this one guy's story where he said, "I got there was a finger in my burrito." Do you remember that story on Twitter?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every time I go past it, I go, "Oh my god, that
And
one
you
guy had a finger in his burrito."
And you still get it. What do you get when you go to Taco Bell?
I've only been there twice. I got food poisoning the first time. This last time that I went, I got 3 Doritos Locos Tacos. And Jordan, I came home, sat in the bed, and he looks at me, and I'm uncrinkling the bag, and he's looking at me.
In bed.
Yo, yeah. And he goes,
Oh my God.
What? He goes, what are you doing? And I go, I'm going to eat my taco.
My
And he's
Taco
like,
Bell.
do you think that you're going to eat your taco in the bed? So I sit on the ground. I go, okay. Yeah, I get it, crumbs. So I sit on the ground next to him in the bed and I finish my taco and then I grab another one and he's like, okay. He watches me eat that one. I grab another one. He goes, how many did you get? I go, 3. He's like, what? I'm like, don't cast judgments. Don't cast judgments.
You're
Anyway.
like, babe, I'm growing the booty. Calm down.
Anyway, I'm not really a fast food Taco Bell person, but Doritos Locos Tacos, they're pretty good.
But if you have broom ball shoes,
If you got broom ball shoes,
you're a Taco
you
Bell
can do
eater.
whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, bitch.
I just feel like full circle Minnesotan,
Yeah,
like playing
I'm
broom
proud
ball.
of you.
Anyway, so
Oh, I got to come watch you.
I know
That'd
you
be
should.
so funny.
You should come Thursday. It's really fun.
Okay, I'm gonna record you the whole time. I'm gonna be like the fan
it's
mom.
so dweeble. You think that you're so good, and then you get off and you watch everyone else, and you'll be like, "That guy's better than me."
Sid.
And I looked.
You probably are good because you played hockey and it's similar. Do you actually
It's
use a
not.
broom? Do you use a broom?
No, it's like this weird stick that looks like a broom. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
So it's a broom.
No, it's not. But you could use a broom theoretically. I will say there was a guy with a T-shirt and elbow pads on, and I figured out what the team was. They're a roller derby team. I knew it. I could tell. I was like, they're all like vibey characters. They were cool. They were going hard in the paint. I'm like, they're a roller derby team. And then they were confirmed. Anywho, so what's your
I was like,
Titanic
cool.
moment?
I don't know how to respond.
I love telling people facts that they don't need to know. All right, on to the next.
I'm also getting kind of shaky.
Okay, what's your striking moment?
Oh.
Yeah,
So-
like you don't remember.
No. Oh yeah.
Come
well, first
on.
thing, yes, I shit my pants at MOA. First things first.
Oh my Christ.
I texted Sid immediately when it happened. I'm not gonna get too detailed, but
You
know
sent
what?
me a Snapchat of you in the stall and you were sweating. So anyway, I'm not lying. I'm
Did
dead
I look?
serious.
I had tears in my eyes.
You
too.
did.
Mhm. So yeah, Sid is usually the one to share the poop stories. But
I'm
I
passing
don't know.
the torch.
I had a digestive issue the other day because I had a goddamn energy drink, and don't do it. Don't do it.
You need to stop.
And I was going, I had all these clothes in my hands. I was going to go do a big try on haul Forever 21 and going up the escalator. And it was the perfect time to like let out a little toot. So I braced myself, braced the core, tucked the pelvis under. Just kidding.
Wait, I was like, what? You're doing a squat or what's going on?
And it wasn't a toot. So yeah, and the worst part is the fact that you have to walk like 5 minutes to the nearest bathroom in MOA. So I was like, I almost said sloshing down the hallway.
Wait. What the hell?
But yeah, and I immediately texted Sid. I was like, Sid, I just shit my pants in the middle of Mall of America.
When you did get to the restroom, you were able to figure it out.
We don't need it.
But
yeah.
Where did you go after the restroom? I'm sorry. I have to. I can't let this slide.
I went back
And you
to
did what?
Forever
And you did
21
what?
and finished my shopping.
And what does shopping entail? Usually you have to make sure it fits, right?
I tried on some clothes. But let me tell you, I did buy
She
the
bought everything.
I bought the pants that I tried on, which were these ones that
I
I'm
can't
wearing.
believe you even tried them on. I'm like,
well,
what?
I mean, I will say like I don't want to get detailed about
Okay,
it, but
don't get
I'm
detailed.
good.
Don't
I'm
get
good.
detailed.
Like
Yeah.
it was good.
It
It
was
was
good.
fine. But yes, you're right. So yeah, I also just realized as I'm telling this story that I'm still wearing my pajama underwear under this.
Wait, what?
Me undies. I forgot to take my pajamas off.
Oh, okay. So you just got dressed over your pajamas?
Yep, because
okay.
I was that lazy this morning. Yeah, those are some straight Candid moments for you. Happy,
You know what?
Happy
Straight Candid moments, if you need a
Thursday.
reminder, because we're like 62 episodes in. They're literally moments that just humanize us, all of us. They're supposed to be humorous or make it real, or they could be a little bit embarrassing, or they're just a moment like we've shared that we're really overly stressed or like being anxious or whatever it is. It just makes you human. So that's the point of Straight Candid moments, and we love when people send them in. So anyway, we had a really fun intro, but today's topic is a little bit more serious, and we have Becca, who's a friend of yours from college, coming on to talk to us, and we're going to be talking about sexual assault. And so if that is in any way triggering, please note that that's coming. And you have a disclaimer that we'll read, right?
Yeah, I mean, the disclaimer was just letting you guys know that this is going to be, more of a heavy conversation, and to just keep that in mind when you're listening. But yeah, Becca Polk is one of my dearest darling friends from I went to University of St. Thomas with her. We had a great college 4 years together, and now she's currently living in Chicago, but she's going to pop on the podcast in just a moment and share a little bit of her story. And we're so excited.
We're so excited. I will say, just as a reminder to everybody, like if this is not your time to listen, that's okay. Now's the time to turn it off, and we'll invite Becca in, but just know that if you're not ready to have this conversation or talk about these things, that's okay too. Wherever your healing is, or maybe you've never experienced this and it's not something that you're interested in, that's totally okay. But I will say candid conversations means having the hard conversations, and that will always be our definition of that. So just know that this is very intentionally doing this because it needs to be talked about more. So without further ado,
And one last note, just before we even start, the National Sexual Assault Hotline is 800-656-4673 if you need a little extra resource.
Thank you, Soph.
You are welcome.
All right. Without further ado,
bring her on, baby.
Here comes Becca.
Becca Polk.
Okay.
Becca Polk. Welcome in, babe.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I feel like I've known you forever, even though I met you today. It's kind of weird.
I
feel the same way.
It's very chill. You know, when you just kind of vibe with people, I'm like, I feel like I've known her forever.
I feel like
it's weird.
People get that feeling with you a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well,
and
no,
same
I
with
felt the
Becca.
same way with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you did too?
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Oh, I love that.
Oh my God, connection.
But no, both of you actually are very open and friendly people. So I feel like you for sure would vibe right away. But anyways.
You did say that too.
Yes, I did. Right. I was like, Sid, you're going to love her because you guys are very similar. But anyways, yes, Becca Polk is here on the podcast this afternoon. We're recording in the middle of the day, which is kind of fun.
It is kind of fun.
Little Sunday recording. But yeah, I know Becca Polk from college. We went to University of St. Thomas. We met, was it sophomore year?
No.
Or freshman year?
I think it was freshman year, second semester.
Yep. Because I transferred in.
Yeah.
You
I transferred in and they were all friends already. So I was like, ooh, I like these girls. And I just tried to like wiggle my way in. And then what do you know? Still here.
She wiggled her way in.
Becca's about to get married.
Jesus.
I've just seen her through all transitions of life.
I saw your ring and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's gold. It is stunning. Oh, she's beautiful,
Amazing.
you guys. Holy crap.
Thank you.
Becca,
You're
give us your
welcome.
little elevator pitch, I guess.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
About myself?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a
Tell
little.
me. Okay. Well, My name's Becca.
Really?
Right now, I work for a digital marketing company. I manage a team of writers. Not that exciting.
No,
It's
really?
not
That's
that
exciting.
Well,
Not
no,
that
but
exciting.
that's cool though.
Yeah.
I'm in digital media too.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it's definitely been a great experience. I've been with the company for like 3 years now,
Mhm.
and that's where I met my fiance.
Oh, no
So,
way. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
Yeah, so we met there, and it was really cute.
Aw.
I remember her calling me being like, there's this guy at my work.
Mhm.
Like, I'm like, oh my God, just go on a date with
Yeah,
him.
like-
and then we went on a date and that was history, right?
That was basically
That
it.
was history.
Really?
Yeah. And
Mhm.
on the first date, funny enough, I told him about my sexual assault
You
things
did?
on the first date. 'Cause-
Really?
Yeah, on the first date. I don't know.
Maybe it
Looking
was your
back at it-
comfortability or something.
Looking back at it, I'm like, that was probably like too much. Like you really went after it. But in my mind, I was like, if he can't handle it, then that's very telling for me and
Wow.
easier for me in the long run. But he handled it very well. So
I think,
Wow.
okay, kind of a good way to kick this off. I guess since you talked about being a writer and this conversation with your now fiance, first date, can you share? I know you wrote. Becca writes poems. She has a whole Instagram dedicated to it. It's
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Poems by Becca.
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna go look at it.
Poems by Becca or poems by Becca Polk?
Poems by Becca. I don't even know my own Instagram handle.
Ashley's gonna check. We also have Ashley Winsleman in the house. Ashley, we're gonna get your take probably more at the end of the episode, I think.
Yep.
So we're gonna get right into it now.
Yep.
But Ashley's gonna check her at handle. Poems by Becca.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
like, I'm pretty sure I didn't throw
Yeah.
my last name in there
Yeah.
because.
And
Yeah.
you wrote this in college, right?
Yeah. So the poems that I'm going to read today, I'm going to read one first and then one like later after we talk about everything.
Mhm.
But I wrote these for one of my creative writing classes and we get to just write about whatever. And I was like, I'm going to write about sexual assault. And it made sense to me to write about it because this was the time that it was really cathartic for me. I was going through something with a different sexual assault situation at that time. And so I was like, okay, I really need to process this right now. So I wrote it. And what's hard about creative writing workshops is that you then bring that work to the whole class and they read it and they give you feedback on it and you edit your work and you resubmit it basically. And bringing these poems to class with a bunch of students was very difficult because it's like they're going to be giving me feedback on the writing. They have to. That's what it is. Like of course, there's going to be things that I could do better in the poems and everything, but it's still very personal.
Yeah.
And I was
extremely.
just giving this to the class, like, hey, here's my life. Like, here's
Here's my
shit
trauma
that I've been through. Like,
But
help me process it.
I was gonna say you wanted to do that though because you're like, you know what? I know that it has to go out to people. I
Right.
know that it makes it real, probably.
Right.
And that was part of your healing process, right?
Right, exactly.
I bet did your class get really close?
Yeah, that class was so close. They all like were sending me messages after that. And we had like some really great conversations. And I was lucky enough that the professor was also just like such a chill guy and very supportive.
I haven't even heard it yet.
Yeah. So I can just read the first one. I just do want to give a disclaimer that these are a little bit more graphic. The first one is more specifically. So if you don't feel like reading it
Skip
or
ahead a
listening to
minute.
it, like skip ahead a little bit. But so this one is called Prison ? So conflict is sending your assaulter to prison. Because if anyone deserves to rot in hell, it's the son of a bitch who put his body into the mouth of a 5-year-old girl. It's the son of a bitch who made her think that these events were normal. The guy who made her keep it a secret. Shh, don't tell anyone. Our little secret. How is a child supposed to know any better about what's right and what was so wrong? It's brutal to get to that point. It's almost impossible to see that the entire problem with this situation is the assaulter, not the victim. It was hard enough to tell mom and dad, but now to tell a detective, to spill all details of your messed up life, to tell where he felt you, where he smelled you, where he shoved and inserted, to tell where he got pleasure from you, and tell the places where you cried with shame. Should 5-year-olds even know what shame is? But if it means that he gets sent to prison, if it means that he will actually be behind bars, Isn't it worth it? You get to be free of the thought of seeing him, and he gets forced into doing something he doesn't want. Full circle, right? Isn't it worth it? So
I'm literally holding back. That's
heavy. I know.
heavy, but I mean, in a way, it's beautifully written and helping you process.
Like a way to like share your story, but like in a very meaningful and impactful way. Like that. I can't even imagine. And the way you worded that beautifully. But
it's scary because listening to it, my age when I had a situation go on was probably around 5 as well. Yeah. So it just like brings me back and I'm like,
yeah.
Sometimes it's like you want to go back because you're processing, and sometimes you're like, I don't really want to process. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't want to go back.
Yeah. Oh, trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you, I guess, like come out of that? Like, how did you process that? When you were 5 years old? Like, I know you're talking about like the shame you felt when you were 5. Like, I didn't know what shame was when I was 5 years old. Absolutely not. So I guess, did you end up sharing this with your parents? Like when you were pretty young?
I'll tell that. So it happened from when I was 5 to 7 years old. It was a family friend who was the same age as my oldest brother. So he was 14 to 16 when I was 5 to 7. And they would come over for like family parties and all of this stuff. And I had a crush on him. I was like, oh, he's so cute. And so I thought it was normal for someone to do this. I thought it was normal for someone to pull down my pants and do these things. And I didn't realize that it wasn't. I thought, okay, oh my gosh, this guy that I like, he's so cute. He's showing interest in me. And it's just crazy that a 5 to 7 year old is like even like thinking those things. But that's a different scenario.
Yeah.
But so when I was 7-ish, I started realizing like this is kind of weird. Like
it went on for 2 years.
Yeah.
Long time.
It was a long time. And he, like in the poem, he told me not to tell anyone. This is our little secret. Don't tell anyone. Like, keep this a secret. And as a 5 to 7 year old, you're like, okay, like I won't tell anybody. So I didn't tell anyone. But then I started to recognize that it was weird that this would only happen when other people weren't around. He would lock the door behind the bathroom, like things like that. That's like, okay, you start to recognize. And then I had told one of my friends in elementary school, like, this thing happens to me. And she was like, whoa, like, that's not normal. That's not okay.
So another 7-year-old was telling you that it wasn't normal.
Right. She was like, that doesn't happen to me. I don't think that should be happening to anyone. And so I was like, oh. And then the feelings started coming more forward of like, I don't like this. I don't feel comfortable with this. I feel very pressured. I feel unsafe. But as a 5 to 7 year old, you're not supposed to have to recognize those things. You're not supposed to have to ever think about, I'm feeling unsafe. And so I ended up, there was a family party coming up. Like, I think it was maybe like the Super Bowl or something.
So you knew they were going to come over again.
So I knew they were going to come over.
Friends.
Yeah. And I told my parents, I was like, I don't want them to come. I don't want to see them. I was panicking. And they were like, what's going on? Like, you've never felt like this before. Like, what's happening? And I was like, I just don't want to see them. Like, don't bring them in here. I don't want to see them. And so they didn't let them come, but I didn't tell them anything else. All I said was, I feel uncomfortable. And that's all I said for like years. So I didn't tell my parents what had really happened until I was in like middle school. And I was struggling, to say the least. I really struggled emotionally. I didn't understand how to process my own emotions. I was just very, I don't think fake is the right word, but I would always act very happy, or I would put on this like show that I was fine and everything was great. But then I would go into what me and my mom call these funks, where I would like go in my room, lock myself in my room, and I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to see anyone. I would like sleep or cry or whatever in my room alone. And then I would come out of it and I'd act like everything was fine.
I want to go hug you, little baby.
Little Tina.
Yeah.
little nugget.
Little child Becca went through some shit. So I told them a little bit more when I was in middle school. Like, he did bad things to me.
What initiated you to finally say something? Just how uncomfortable and unhappy you were?
I think they were like, what's going on? And we're trying to talk to me about it.
Okay, so they were leaning into like trying not to be pushy.
Right.
But as like a middle schooler, they were like, okay,
right.
odd behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she has some mental health issue.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe a mental health issue. Maybe just needs some help. They were trying to help.
Right.
Okay, I see.
And so at that time, where we went to church was the same place where his parents went to church. And so I think that also triggered some things for me because I would see them and I would panic at church. And so they wanted to like start like getting to the bottom of it more. So then I didn't actually tell them everything until summer before my sophomore year of high school.
Wow.
And we were driving home from dinner and I told them that he would make me give him blowjobs. He would make me give him hand jobs. He would pull down my pants and eat me out and finger me and all these things from when I was 5 to 7 years old. And he was old enough to know better, you know, like very much old enough not to know not to do that to someone. So
if he could tell you to not tell anyone, he knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing 100%.
Of course, because he knew it was wrong.
Right.
Like, it's our secret. That's so disturbing.
What also upsets me is that, you know, you would maybe see him at church or his family and he probably was like, oh, that was a long time ago. Like
he was never there. He was never there. His parents were there and his parents would try and like come talk to us. And I'd like skirt the other way. Like, what the fuck? Don't
even come near me.
You're not invited to our family parties for a reason. Like,
how triggering to see somebody's family and, you know, people that relate to them that often, like every Sunday, let's say, or something. Like, I mean, talk about trying to heal and not being able to have that space for it.
Before we move on, what I was getting at was like, the fact that he probably like thought this was so long ago and he's like, oh, it's over. Like, she's not going to tell anyone now. Like, it happened a long time ago. And she probably doesn't even remember it. Like, blah, blah, blah. And he's going on with his days, you know, just feeling good. Doesn't even know how much it affected you. Like, every single day, the show you've been putting on, your struggles, your funks. And it's like, it affected you every single day for the rest of your fucking life.
But clearly this person has something wrong with them too. Like, and it's just, that's scary. It's scary all around.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
It's okay. So,
and can I ask, you told your parents in the car, why is it that you were okay to release it? And like, how did that feel?
I honestly don't even know why I was like, I need to say this now. Looking like I don't know if I had a reason when I was younger, but looking back, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think I just needed to because I hadn't really told anyone the full story at that point.
Good.
Yeah. And so it was a lot of tears. My parents went home and I have 3 brothers and a sister. And so they were all told and the reactions were just like, nobody should ever have to experience their little sister saying that. But my brothers are so protective. They were so angry, angry. And they felt guilt. A lot of my whole family felt guilt that they weren't able to protect me. And I'm like, that's not on you. Like, you didn't know. If you knew, you wouldn't have let that happen, you know? And it's on that shit person that did that. That is not, I don't need to feel guilt. They don't need to, my family doesn't need to feel guilt. The only person who should feel guilt is him. And of course, people in those typical situations don't feel guilt for their actions. So my mom was like, okay, like, let's go to therapy. I think that would be a good idea. And I was like, I don't know. But I knew that I wanted to send him to prison. I was like, I hate the idea of him walking free and doing this to other people. Like, I hated it. It made me so grossed out. So my sophomore year, we started going to this therapist. I say we because it was me and my parents. We both went to therapy together.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
To kind of process this because the therapist was someone who specialized in helping people that were trying to send people to prison.
Okay.
So he was helping me like through the whole process of like, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is, you'll have to go in and talk to the detective. And talking to detectives about...
I was just going to say, I'm so curious about this process because I've heard it's a bitch. So I want you to take us through. Take us through.
God,
It
and
is.
why? Like,
Because they have to know all the details. And so to a point, I do understand it. But it was me sitting alone in a room with a detective with their little like pad of paper, writing down all of these details about reliving. Like I had to tell them what rooms it happened in. I had to tell them, like, did he lock the door? Yes. What did he do when you were in the bathroom with him? Like, what happened this time? What happened that time? What happened this time? Because there was all of this stuff and we had to come with this evidence too, to show that I wasn't like making it up. And so I guess I had written a letter or something to my mom explaining something felt off when I was younger. So that was evidence. Like we don't even like have that anymore.
Wow.
We had to like draw diagrams of the house and explain, okay, in the basement, this is when this happened. In the bathroom, this is when this happened. When we were at his house, this is when that happened.
You know what's shocking to me is when I was 5 years old, like I have very little memory of like what I was doing, like who I was friends with, like what I did on a day-to-day basis. And you were able to trace it back to what happened at this particular minute of your life, which just shows how fucking impactful that was on your life, like how much it affected you.
I had to tell them what clothes I wore. Like we had to.
And you remembered this.
I mean,
to a certain extent.
To a certain point.
Yeah.
There were specific occurrences that I remember more thoroughly than others. And those are the things that I want to talk more about this like a little later about like the flashbacks and things that I'll have to this day and sense memory and all of this stuff. Like there's a bathroom in my parents' house that I still like struggle to go in sometimes because that's where one of those occurrences happened. So I bring like the memory comes back, the smells come back and all of that stuff. The smells, it's
that
disgusting. It's
disturbing.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I'm just relating to you in this way of like the flashbacks are probably the worst of it all, in my opinion, because I can't get rid of them.
You can't,
because that's my reality, that those things have happened to me. And sometimes my chest gets tight and I'm like, oh shit, I'm freaking out. I'm starting to freak out. Like I can usually turn it off, but it's like I'm going about my usual day, and you can probably relate to this. And something triggers it, and I'm not really sure what. It's probably something subconscious, like a shirt even, or like a whatever. And I feel just I get like locked up and I can't really see anything. My chest gets really tight, and it's like I can't like get. It's just like these things keep coming back. They'll always come back probably, which really sucks. But that's why you have to continue to process it, and you have to continue to move forward. I was just relating to you in that moment because I felt like that was necessary.
That's something that a lot of people who experience sexual assault deal with, and end up feeling a lot of shame about, like, why can't I just get over this? Why is this still impacting me? It's been 20 years since that happened to me, and I'm still dealing with it. Like, it's never something you just get over. And nobody has ever really said, get over it, or why haven't you gotten over it? But there have been people that are not in my life that have said, like, well, that was like 10 years ago. Like, it's like, you're fine now. Why is this, and just some people just don't know how to react to sexual assault and people telling about their sexual assault, which is why it's important to talk about it. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly why we're talking about it too. And to be honest, like I was a little nervous for this conversation too, because yes, I don't know exactly how to react. I know it comes with a lot like of listening and support. But if you were to give advice for someone who maybe has a friend or something that is telling them about sexual assault, can you give any tips on like how to respond?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's different. Any person that tells you about their sexual assault is going to need something different. And it's really just your job to sit there and be there to be that support, whatever it may be. So some people want you to like change their thoughts. They don't want to think about it anymore. I want you to distract me. Some people need that. Some people need you to just sit there and listen to you cry about it or listen to you talk about it. And it's going to be hard as hell, but you're listening, to be blunt, is not as hard as what they went through. So you just sit there, you listen, you deal with it, and you support when you need to. And really one of the things that I took a mental health training for work. And one of the things that they talk about is it is never a bad thing to say, I'm here for you. Even if you think they know, you just need to say, I'm here for you. What do you need from me? I'm here to support you. Like, those words mean so much, because in people's heads, they're not thinking at all that this person is supporting me. They're thinking, oh, they're judging me. Oh, why couldn't I do anything to stop that when I was younger? You know?
I also think, would you like to hear, like, it's not your fault? Because I do know a lot of sexual assault victims that are maybe trying to explain it. They kind of like validate it by thinking that they were part of it and they had something to do with it. So I think also making sure that that person knows that it's not normal and that it wasn't their fault.
No, 100%, because that's something that I spent years working on, is that, well, I should have known that this wasn't a good thing. Why didn't I stop this sooner? I'm smart. Why couldn't I have figured this out? And it's like, fuck no, that's not on you at all.
No.
Ever.
No, it's not
Ever.
in any way. Yeah, I remember thinking that it wasn't valid because I didn't stop it. And you, like, you know, these things happen and I didn't, like, I do remember being upset about it, like, and saying no, or like, you know, stopping things. But I thought, well, it was half my fault, right? Because I was there and I didn't think it was that bad, but it's because in the moment, I didn't think it was that bad because I was 5 years old.
Right.
Obviously, I wouldn't know what was going on.
You're not supposed to
you don't know these
those
things,
situations.
You know? So, yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. Yeah, you need people that'll listen. You need family members that'll lean on. You can lean on. You need friends.
Yeah.
Somebody in your life can be that person for you that can listen. And I know it, and everybody knows it, but it's when you're ready to tell what happened.
Yeah.
Or
and I will
needing help.
Yeah. I will also say that anger on your end, on the listener, is rarely ever helpful. Like, if you're like, oh, that's so terrible, and you get really heated about it, they're gonna, like, I mean, not everybody, but from what I've heard in my experience, especially, I'm gonna shut down once you start having these, like, strong emotions about it, because it's like, okay, you think you're mad, you think you're upset, and it's hard for me to process that, because I'm, like, then trying to calm you down from being angry. I'm trying to assuage your guilt rather than giving me the space to let me be angry or let me, like, get out these kind of feelings and everything.
Great add-in. I like that. And very important. So I think we should talk more about healing process in a little bit too, but can you go back to the process of sending him to prison, I guess, and that whole situation? Because I do have something to share. Someone wrote in about working as a prosecutor for this. So how was that process? And did he end up going to prison? How long?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
Move your mic a little closer too, by the way. Yep.
Yes. Sorry.
You're good.
He did go to prison. Thank God.
That's amazing.
But so that whole experience of talking to the detectives for a long time, and then luckily I didn't have to, like, go to court to, like, testify at all. So he ended up just pleading guilty. So so there was no, like, extra things that had to be done. I basically just had to go to court and not even sit in the same room, not even sit next to a judge. I just had to be there while they read off my
testimony.
My testimony of it. And then he got 6 years in prison. 6 years, not nearly enough. And he ended up getting out a little early for good behavior.
I knew that was going to happen. I fucking knew it. I'm sorry. That's just like, you're not the only person that's obviously gone through this or has sent someone there. And it's like, this happens every time.
Right.
I remember in college, the day he came out of prison, because you were affected.
Yeah. And I was terrified. I had nightmares. I still do have nightmares, but I had nightmares for years, especially before I started going to therapy and before sending him to prison, about him coming back and finding me.
For sending him there.
Right.
Right.
And so it was like terrifying when he got out. And so I have a few tattoos, and I get the tattoos majority of the time on the date that he got out of prison, so that I have something different to look to or think about on that day. So
Wow.
that's been really like helpful for me.
Yeah.
But I know for some people it's like, we don't want to just think about that anniversary all the time. But at the same time,
You can't help it.
it just does come up. No matter how much I want to go by July 17th and everything will be fine. It's like, no, that's will always be the day that he got out of prison. And then he ended up being like, what's the word? He was, like selling child pornography. So he had to go back to prison.
So he's in prison right now?
I believe so. I can't look
You
look him up because
You don't even...
right.
Yeah.
If I do ever, like, I'm curious, I ask my sister, I'm like, can you figure out what's going on here? But yeah, he had to go back to prison because he was like selling or whatever. I don't know.
It's distribution.
Yeah.
It's called.
Of child
Wow.
pornography. So
Okay, I do have something to share that's been wrote in before this episode. It's kind of about the prosecution process. So I'm just going to read it because it was really helpful. And obviously would love to hear both your thoughts after. But she goes, okay, this is coming from someone who works for a prosecuting attorney's office. And my job is working with victims of all sorts of crimes. The general advice for females, if they are ever sexually assaulted, is go to the hospital and get a rape kit done, even if they don't know if they want to disclose anything. That way, if they ever change their mind down the road, a DNA sample has been done and law enforcement can go back to that kit and test it. I think that's really important. I've had a friend who wishes she would have done that and she didn't, and it was too late. Continuing, she says, having friends that you can count on is great, but I highly, highly recommend using resources and support centers, Central Minnesota Sexual Assault Center as an example, and counseling. Working with people who can help you process what happened and help you truly understand it's not your fault. I recommend resources a lot because having a neutral resource, so to speak, where their emotions aren't involved helps. When you do talk with friends and families, their emotions get involved because they care about you. AKA your brother's getting probably upset about it. And the workers from these places care about you and what happened to you, but we are taught how to keep emotions and feelings out of it. Disclosing and going through the criminal justice system is insanely hard. We hate having to put the victims of sexual assault on the stand at trial and make them relive it. Some people aren't strong enough to go through it, and we understand that and do everything we can to help. Some people view it as closer and makes them feel empowered. At sentencing, you get to give a victim an impact statement.
Mm-hmm.
Some people give the most amazing statements of what this all meant to them and how it changed their life. Some people can't even be there. Every person's story is different and how they process it differently. So the biggest thing for victims to try to understand is if they're processing it different than a friend, family member that has also been assaulted, that is totally okay.
Yep.
No two stories or events will ever be the same, and it's okay to process differently.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to, I thought that was a good addition.
I like that. It's a very, very full circle. I will say this is the first time I've ever been open to, oh, look at that. I think it's time for me to go to like a center, like, and get like help from like actual people who can help you process it. Cause I go to therapy. I mean, sometimes, and she knows about it. But like, I made it very clear that I don't want to dive back into it all the time. It's not like very fun for me. And especially not in the middle of a like Wednesday when I'm having my therapy appointment at noon over lunch. Like, no, thank you.
Very,
sorry,
very difficult.
not happening. But random, and I'm not like just kind of like relating to you. Did yours show up? You were saying, and behaviors. I'm kind of answering my own question. Mine showed up in like, I had like horrible OCD. That's why I figured out that I had something going on because I didn't even know what happened. And then when I was processing it, it got so bad and I kept having nightmares that I realized were real, that I felt all of a sudden I was like crying to my mom because I had a nightmare and it was freaking me out. And I remember I sat there for probably 45 minutes and I finally squeezed out, I think it's real. And she was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I think it's real. I think it's real. And I kept saying that and I was like, I can't get the words out. It's like the craziest thing. It's like your mind's like, nope, you can't say it. Nope. And she's like, okay. Like, and that's okay. You know what I mean? She was just like there for me.
Sid, can I ask you a question? Did
Sure.
did you report him at all? Do you know?
Nope, we couldn't. No,
Because it was just too much of a process.
too long ago.
It's, when it's gone past a specific amount of years, they can't do anything about it anymore. Which
daycare
is
center is gone.
Yeah.
Those people moved. I don't even know the name of the people.
yeah.
Wow.
To be honest, I don't. But I will say it was so flashing forward in college, I got roofied at a bar and I walked home or I was with somebody and I realized it was like 7 hours later and I was with them and I didn't know where I was. So I got freaked out and I left and then nothing had happened at this point. So just preface. And I was just really, I was just freaked out, but I couldn't really talk and I couldn't really work my phone. So I just walked where I knew my car was parked. I can't explain why I did that. I just, only thing I could figure out, knew my,
You couldn't talk because you were like, oh my gosh, that's so scary.
You can't speak. And I didn't drink that night. That's what's scary. Is like I couldn't speak because of this. So and it's weird. It's almost like I'm reliving a movie or like living in a dream because I can't really say I remember what's happening, but I remember. It's like these little splits.
Yeah.
Burp, burp, burp. So I knew I parked at my friend's house. So I was trying to get into the door and I don't know how long I was there because time has passed. Really weird.
Right.
And a man had been following me. The man who roofied me. That is and I won't go into graphic detail, but he knew what he did.
I think you should share it.
Really?
I know the story. I mean, just keep it
I'll keep it. I won't
brief,
go into
but
scary detail.
Only what
but
you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I was, at this point I'm thinking like, I'm fine. I just feel really weird, but I'm going to get into the house where my friends are. And I called them like 400 times. And to this day, this person feels guilty because they didn't answer my call, right? They don't need to carry that, but I was locked out and it's freezing. And I realized I hear, are you okay? And I was like, oh my fuck. And this is why I remember it because I knew I'm alone. I thought I was alone and there's a man standing behind me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I turned around and I remember I looked at him and I tried to go, I'm fine. I'm just getting in there, coming to the door.
Yeah.
What do you think came out of my mouth? Because you're not there. And
your
he knew
body is getting physically altered.
Yeah, he knew that. So then all of a sudden, flash forward, because it's coming in flashes, he's standing up on the step with me, like helping me, gonna try to help me. And he grabs both my wrists, like he's gonna try to like grab me off the deck, and he has his pants down. So yeah, just disturbing. And obviously he grabs my wrists and he's holding me, like restricting me and restraining me. And I remember this. And I realized, but the sad thing and the worst part of remembering it all is that it takes me a second to remember, or takes me a second to realize what's happening. And so then I just scream, bloody murder. And I start like flailing, like,
I'm glad you were able to do that.
Yeah, I'm lucky. Right. And I kicked the shit out of him. Like literally dead serious. I kicked the living shit out of him. He slipped and fell down the steps. And I just screamed louder than I've ever screamed in my entire life. And the sad thing is, no one heard me, for one thing. No one heard me. No one came out. No one knew that I was screaming, but it scared him off enough to leave the situation. And then I called my mom and I don't remember anything else. But turns out I woke up the next day, and for everybody like who is maybe like, how do you know you were roofied if you don't know? One, and two, I was with two other women who we shared a drink with, who we thought was coming from our friend at the bar. It was not from our friend at the bar. One of the women had a very horrible situation happen to her, got tested for Rufalin, and it was Rufalin. So full story. Yeah. When you fucking know, for one thing.
Yeah.
Don't ever doubt anybody who says that I think I was roofied. You fucking know. And don't ever doubt your friends for that.
And don't ever doubt sexual assault coming from someone either.
But I will say I've not done a good job of processing that one. And I'm realizing I need to. And I think that one even more than the one that happened when I was little, because it's like those two piled on. I think I'm on them all day, like every day, multiple times a day. It doesn't feel good, but
it's very hard. Well, first of all, I'm very sorry that happened to you.
Sorry, you too, though.
Like
right?
That's terrifying. Yeah. And it's so shitty that you had to deal with that, and that you have to even process that, you know, like the fact that you have to go through your days figuring out, okay, how am I going to make it through this? How am I going to push that aside so I can focus on work or focus on my relationships or whatever. I definitely think that talking to someone is a good idea. I'll always tell anybody that, like, if you're struggling in any way, just talk to someone. They have online therapy now too. So like you can text someone about it. But when I went to therapy,
Yeah.
so I went to the first guy and he helped with the going to jail and everything. And then I went to a different lady and she really focused on the child Becca and making that girl feel safe. Because even, I mean, not to this day, because I have made her feel safe at this point. But when I was going through that, she was not safe in my brain. And that's why I would have all these nightmares. And that's why I would feel so triggered all the time. And that's why I couldn't process things, is because the child was like still freaking out about the situation.
And that's that age is like your most vulnerable and biggest developmental, like you're absorbing like a sponge.
Right.
So for 2 years, I mean, that's a long time to have horrible things happening that your brain is just absorbing to learn about life.
Child Becca, or even like teenager, college Sid, like if that that moment and time and that person feels unsafe, you're saying like it still is affecting.
That's going to stay with you for a very long time. So I mean, it's different for everybody, and every therapist I think is going to go at it a little differently, but it was almost like, what is it, like psychotherapy in a sense?
Oh yeah, hypnosis.
Hypnosis that I would lay on the couch and she would like count down and I'd close my eyes and she would walk me through this process of building a safe space. And so it created this environment where child Becca could be and play and be safe from 5 to 7 years old. So it was like I could go there rather than thinking about what had actually happened to me from when I was 5 to 7.
Wow.
So I put my child self in this safe environment, and then it's easier for me to process things. It's never easy to process it at all, but it makes it a little bit more comfortable to talk about it with someone when that child self is in a safe place. But the whole idea of it is that if I'm not safe, I can't talk about it. I can't process it. I'm not going to be able to get through it if that child is still terrified all the time.
Right.
So yeah, I would suggest to anyone that if you want to go to therapy and you want to talk about it, make it regular, like schedule it regularly. And I would really suggest scheduling it for like after your workday.
Yeah.
Because trying to get in that headspace during work and then go back out of that headspace is like physically, like it's so impossible to be able to handle that.
And we're all guilty of like, we want to avoid, we don't want to go back to it. So like for me, I try not to, like, I don't want to go there because I have other things I need to be on for. Like that's sad that I don't let myself do that, but it's because I know I have to go teach a class, or I know I have to go back to go to work and be on, or later be on for something else. I don't have time to.
I was just going to say it's because you're so busy and you have things you have to be on for a lot. But I do think, I mean, hearing this from you, like I don't have much to say about, the healing process, but I do think, it's important to find that time so you are able to shut it off after.
Routine time. But that said, even in that routine time, it's still going to be hell to get yourself to go to therapy. It's still going to be really difficult to have those conversations, but they are such important conversations to have. Like I can't say it enough. Even if it's tough, you got to talk about it.
Yeah, totally.
Because you're just going to keep going through it in your head, and it's not going to be good for your mental space, your physical well-being, anything. Like and your nightmares, so your subconscious is going to come at that.
Yep.
If you're not working through it. And if you're worried about it, try and schedule something after that is going to make you a little happier. I would go and get McDonald's Happy Meals.
Oh, yummy.
After therapy, if I knew it was particularly tough, I went and I got McDonald's Happy Meals, and I would like sit in my car. I wouldn't go inside my house. I'd sit in my car and like eat the Happy Meal and transition out.
Make you happy.
Transition out of that thought process.
Sid, you could get Taco Bell.
I don't think so. That doesn't make my other side happy. When you are feeling like that feeling is coming on of like, I feel like I'm going to have a little freak. What's your advice to somebody who's like going through that same thing? Like, how do you pull yourself out of it and continue on with your day and knowing that like, healing is not linear. Someone wrote that, and I really like relate to that. Like it's gonna ebb and flow. It's gonna go up and down. Like how do you pull yourself out of it and back up? Like,
well, I'd first say don't try to pull yourself out of it. You're probably feeling that way because you need to feel whatever those emotions are. I tried for a very, 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 very long time to just like push it down and move forward. And that made it a lot worse when I could no longer push it down. There was a time when, so after I sent him to prison, I like shut down again. I wouldn't talk to people. I was like never like that happy. I would fake it a lot of the time. So when that happened, I would just try and push it down. And then there was a time where I woke up, I had like nightmares or something that night. I woke up at like 4 or 5 in the morning and just sobbed in my bed. And I used to never cry. And it's funny because people that know me now, I cry all the fucking time. So it's like baffling, but I used to never cry. Like I would not let myself cry. And then it just exploded. And my dad found me in my room sobbing because it was like right before I had to leave for school. I was sobbing. I have this pillow that you guys know the pillow.
what do you mean?
Y'all know the pillow?
I have this pillow that I've had since I was like 5. It's Dory. It's a stuffed Dory.
Seriously?
It's like fucking nasty. It's like
I have a fucking nasty dog I sleep with named Carmel. It's been through the ringer.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. So like
Poor
Dory was getting all my tears and snot on her, but it was like very cathartic. I needed to do it. But if you push through it, it's just gonna come up in a bigger way later. So I would try and sit with it, but you don't need to sit with it for hours. Sit with it for a little bit, write it out, process your thoughts in whatever way you need to, writing it, like meditation, whatever, and then try and do something that makes you happy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. I really, really like that.
I like how she was like, no, you don't try to avoid it. You
don't
let
avoid
it in.
Even if it's during work. If it's during work.
Absolutely. Yep. Take your time. I have a few like kind of like quick questions that I think a lot of people want to know. And like we'll just roll through them.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No,
we're good. Because I think, being cognizant of time is great. I think you should ask your questions. And then I think I have a listener that wrote something in that has a question for her too.
Okay. How have you not allowed that or to affect your relationship with your fiance right now?
Oh, wait, can I ask this question? It's related.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So someone wrote in and said, are you guys doing a sexual assault podcast today? I was going to respond and ask a question. So she says, I don't have any advice because I handled mine terribly. But one thing I've always struggled with is communicating to new guys that I'm seeing about my sexual assault and how it's made me super reserved when talking about sex or my history because I just don't know how to bring it up without feeling like I'm completely killing the vibe. I don't know if that made sense. Laugh my ass off. But she goes, I would love some advice. So I guess your first conversation with, we're going to need to bleep that out.
We'll bleep that. He's writing down when.
That's her ex.
I did that the other day.
That's my ex.
Okay. Anywho.
Okay. Your first conversation with your fiance. You said you talked about your sexual assault. So how did you go about that? And what would you say to this listener?
Yeah. I mean, I think the conversation with my fiance, I was way more comfortable with him because we had been friends with him for a while. So I'll say if you're ever, no matter whether it's somebody that you've been talking to for a while or someone newer, you do it when it feels right for you. Like, don't ever try and force yourself to have that conversation because then it'll be tougher for you. But my thought process has and always will be, if I tell them about it sooner, then I get to know whether or not this is a person that I want in my life. Because if there's someone who's going to be like, whoa, like, slow down, that's really fast, then okay, see you later.
Don't need you. Bye.
Yeah. And I know that's a little difficult in like the dating scene because, you know, you don't want to scare people off. You don't want to seem like this super heavy person right from the get-go. But I think it's our mindset needs to change a little bit about that because that is you. That happened to you. That's made up who you are. And
it's a huge part of you.
Right. It's a huge part of you. And you don't need to feel shame about that. And so I think if you feel comfortable, you can tell someone, you know, I'm not going to do this. I don't feel comfortable doing this because of something that's happened to me. You don't have to go deeper than that.
Yep.
And if they're not going to respect that boundary that you set up, then again, that's someone, bye, see you later.
I will say, if you can't have like get to the deep conversations with somebody, like, what's the fucking point? No offense. Like, it's just like, we had a deep conversation. Like Jordan and I just got deep one time, and I told him about, you know, there's things that happen to me that I like are traumatizing, and you know, like I of course got it there with him because he's my boyfriend. I need to do that. So like, if you're evaluating right now, like I'm not with somebody who I can get to those deep conversations with. It doesn't ever feel right to bring it up. That's probably something that you need to evaluate.
Telling you something,
yeah, because you should be able to get there, and you should be able to speak about it if you want to.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Yep.
Like, there's a difference between you not feeling comfortable because you think they would react poorly versus you not feeling comfortable because you're not ready for that yet.
Yep.
And I think that's an important distinction.
Right there. Boom. I love that question. By the way. You are
amazing.
You are
That's
so
all I
well
have to
spoken.
say.
You are so strong. You have so much advice to give.
We've
You're
been trying
so
to get
calm.
you on the podcast.
I know. Like when you tell like how to move forward and even talking through your experience. But you're just amazing. So I'm like, I feel like I had so many things. I know. Sorry. I feel like I had so many things I wanted to ask, but I just wanted to listen too. And I'm like, I needed to listen because I couldn't get there. Like I couldn't.
You can feel free to ask any questions.
Do you have a few said that you want to ask?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, looking at who you are right now, like, and this doesn't have to be super detailed. Like who are you now because of this?
Oh, that's a good question.
Who is Becca Polk?
Who am I? I think
your friends can share.
I actually pride myself on my ability to be there for other people, and be as supportive as possible for my friends and my loved ones. I think that is so important. I never want people to feel alone. I never want them to feel like they're going through something alone. And so no matter what it is, like I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to say, hey, I'm here if you need me. Even if you don't want to talk to me, like just know that I'm here because not that my family and my friends weren't supportive when I was younger, because they were, but I didn't recognize that I had other people there for me. And I didn't recognize that it was okay for me to need other people and to lean on other people. And so I just like to make it like very clear to people. I'm like, what? I like thought it was like a movie or something.
I know the sirens going by.
What's happening?
Yep.
No, but yeah, I think how it's shaped me is that I'm just very conscious of being there for people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You've always been like, even like, I mean, Ashley can attest to this too. Like, if there is any friend that I go to for like advice and like, if I'm dealing with anything, any funk, Becca is like the one to go to. And I honestly appreciate so much. Like, I mean, I've told you this before, but Becca texts me like probably every other week, checking in. How are you? And like, I try to learn from you every day. Like I really do, because that side of you is like very rare in, you know, a lot of friendships. Like the fact that you literally just text to check in, and like, I seriously appreciate you so much. Like I love you, but
I love you.
babe.
I think
too.
A lot of people have actually like, I'll do my text of like, hey, just checking in, like what's going on? And
Fucking so sweet.
And a lot of people have been like, holy shit. Like I actually really needed to talk to someone.
Yeah.
How did you know that? And I was like,
I do that all the time. Like, how'd you know I wasn't doing well?
and it's just, I don't know. I mean, who knows what it is?
You know, somehow, whenever I'm in a funk.
I mean, I don't know. Part of it, it's like a thought that comes to my brain. Like, I haven't checked in on this person in a while.
I do that too.
I haven't, or maybe it's something that you post on your story that I'm like, something's off.
You're like, something might be there.
I recognize those things.
Yeah, you do.
For somebody going through, who has gone through something, what's like one thing that you want to tell them? Like somebody who's processing it, maybe they're healing, maybe they've gone through it already and they have the ebbs and flows. Like just something you want them to know.
Maybe they're listening and they're like, oh, I actually have dealt with this.
Biggest thing is it's not your fault. It has never been your fault. It never will be your fault. No matter what your brain likes to tell you, it's not your fault. No matter how other people react when you tell them, it's not your fault.
I love that.
And
no matter how big or small.
Yeah,
Some
no
people
matter
think
how big or
sexual
small,
assault
yeah.
is full-blown intercourse. It could be someone literally grabbing your butt. Like
that's my second, I hate that phrase. My second sexual assault was a mentor in my life serving me alcohol and grabbing my boob.
Oh, geez.
And that's very small in comparison to my first one, but that doesn't make it any less traumatizing. That doesn't make it any less of a sexual assault.
Yeah, you can't measure.
Right.
You can't put a measurement on how big or small something is
and you
that
shouldn't
you've
compare
experienced.
You shouldn't compare it to other people's either. Like so many people will tell me, well, mine's not as bad as yours is.
I've heard that before too.
And it's like, no, there's no like rating scale
Yeah.
on it.
that's how, honestly, what I think I've dealt with too. It's like I've never really, mine's are just like little builds up of like little situations that have happened. And then I have this like whole image of certain men in my head because of it, you know? So
I want to
Yes.
say this because this is a perfect time. I asked our audience this morning, and it's not even been on here very long, so this is crazy.
yeah, like 2 hours.
2 hours ago, do majority of us know someone who has experienced a sexual assault, right? And 92% say, sadly, yes, we do. And there's an 8% that doesn't think so. But I think the 8% doesn't think so, likely because of the scale, invisible scale that like, well, that wasn't probably like a sexual assault.
Right.
It wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't that serious, like Sophie's kind of alluding to.
Or they're not.
Or in denial.
And they're in denial
And-
because chances are extremely high. It's like 1 in 6 women have been sexually assaulted
That they actually know of.
that they know of.
That's which means it's likely
your
people who
cousin,
aren't.
your mom, your sister, your friend, somebody that's in your life has more than likely been sexually assaulted. And that's just the truth of it.
Absolutely. I think there's an ignorance of not wanting to speak about it, not wanting to think
Right.
about it, not wanting to believe that it happened to someone they cared about. And that's a problem. That's why we're talking about it and normalizing it. And it's sad because right before this, we've had this up for a few hours and people are already unfollowing us because of having this conversation. And I will say, if it's because you're uncomfortable, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But uncomfortability
You lean into
leans into growth, and we need to do that. And we have to talk about it. And we should talk
Yes.
about it. We should normalize it, you
Right.
know? So,
Did you share the statistics too?
well, that was
that was
the
it.
92% said,
Yep.
yes, I think we do. I will say there was a few little things that I wanted to read because we asked our listeners, do you have any advice for somebody who's overcoming a sexual assault? And there was a few that really stood out to me as being somebody who's overcoming it. Let me scroll really quick because there was a 3-part one that I really, really liked. Okay. So, this girl says, I've been assaulted 3 times, once when I was 12, 13, and 22. The thing has helped me the most is reminding myself healing isn't linear. You might have a triggering experience years down the road, and that's okay. And if anyone judges you for your triggering experience years later, they're not really your people. I could write a novel, but I should refrain. And a lot of these people say, share your story, ask for help, no matter how small you have to start. A friend, a coworker, a parent, or even a stranger, just get it out somehow so you can begin giving yourself the space to heal. Therapy, leaning on loved ones. There was one more right up here that I really, really liked. Talk to your friends, try your best not to feel guilty or gross about what happened. Seek that therapy, and you did nothing wrong and nothing to deserve it. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You are not alone.
Thanks, listeners. That was great.
There's a million. There's a million, and they're all beautiful. And all of the people are like, don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself.
Yeah.
Tell your friends you're not alone. And it like makes me want to cry.
And every single person that wrote in was a female. And that's just,
I want to say right now and take a second to be like, this happens to men. And if you're a man and you're listening, please know that you can lean into every single thing that we're talking about and saying this
100%.
goes for you too. Yeah. This goes for you too. And I just have to tell you guys
and
that.
also be an ally.
Absolutely.
Okay. I do think that, I think we should wrap up with your poem at the end. Obviously share anything else that you really want to share. But first, we're going to let Dr. Sarah hop on really quick because she has a few things to share. So Dr. Sarah,
Sarah.
Was
OBGYN
that came on episode 39. I think I made that up. Jackson, can you check?
It's the 2 episodes. So
2 episodes. OBGYN's Dr. Sarah is going to pop on and share some information with you guys too. And then we'll get Becca back on here to share her last poem with you all.
Hi, this is Dr. Sarah. Thanks for having me on the episode this week for an audio clip. So happy that Sid and Soph wanted to tackle on the topic of sexual assault on this week's episode. Key important things is having a post-assault exam done by specialists who are trained to do this. This is a rape assessment done at a clinic with certified personnel. The importance of this is to collect hair or any bodily fluids such as semen for further processing if a prosecution of this case would go further. Items of clothing, underwear, anything that was worn within the first 24 to 48 hours would be taken for further processing. This can also include bed sheets, anything at the scene that could be used for further prosecution of the assailant. The other key thing to the rape assessment is to do STD screening. That STD screening should be then repeated 2 weeks later because some STDs will not show up on very early in the assessment. It'll take a few weeks for that to evolve. Post-exposure treatment for STD prevention is given in the form of antibiotics. This would include ceftriaxone 500 milligrams intramuscularly, which is a shot for prevention against gonorrhea. This is also followed by azithromycin for treatment of chlamydia and Flagyl for treatment of trichomonas. Certain STDs won't be assessed because they can't be tested unless lesions show up. And that would be in the event of having genital warts or HPV or herpes lesions. These STDs show up usually 2 to 3 weeks after exposure. There's no way to test for them unless lesions show up. And unfortunately, when a person has them, they're recurrent and lifetime. Key things as well is that 80% of people who are assaulted by people they know. And that's the very sad thing, is that usually a situation occurs where that person has met someone that they know. It initially is consensual and then it gets out of hand. It becomes non-consensual. Assault can occur at any age range, under age 10 to as far out as in individuals who live in nursing homes. The common age group is still in late teens to up to 30s. So very important that in the population of college age students and in 20-year-old, 30-year-old women, that this is something that's watched out for. I'm so happy that I could have a little audio clip today for you, and hopefully this answers some of your questions. Again, so happy that Sid and Soph on Straight Candid could address this week. Hope everyone is well. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Sarah, for jumping on here and giving extra advice and source of information. She's amazing. We love her.
Love her.
She was on episode 55 and episode 39 for those of you wondering and wanting to listen back. I will say there's just a few final pieces of advice that I want to put from that came from myself, and then I'd love for you to share your poem. I will say that people have a problem saying it's your fault. It's not your fault. We've talked about that. Find someone you trust. Facing it is healthy, as much as I've tried to tell myself for years that it's not true. Talk about it with that therapist. It isn't a straightforward healing thing. Remember to remind yourself that highs and lows are okay. Triggering experiences, they're going to happen, and that's okay. You have to have a significant other that you can lean on if you have one. And if you can't lean on them, you need to get out. And I'm serious about that. You need to get out. Find someone else that you trust, a family member, a friend, whatever it is. And speak only when you're ready. No is no. That's I just want to leave it at that. Yeah.
Very well said.
Thank you.
And Becca, first of all, thank you for everything, for being so open.
I know. You're
And
amazing.
I guess any closing statements and your closing poem for us.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for letting me do this, because I mean, truth be told, I was terrified before coming on here. You know, this is a very tough conversation.
Yes.
I do have this conversation a lot because I think it's very important. And I know that there are people that are maybe on my Instagram that have dealt with this. And so I often will post about sexual assault and the things that have happened to me, giving them the space to talk to me if they want to. And
Did
like
our
you said,
listeners reach out if they needed to?
yeah, 100%.
What's your Instagram so people can maybe slide in?
It's at the Becca Polk.
Hey.
And then my poetry page is poems by _Becca.
Love it.
But yeah, so I just think it's really important to have these conversations, even if it's tough. Like you're saying, like nobody really wants to have the conversation, but it's so essential to our healing that we do talk about it. And yeah, I just thank you for like giving me the space to talk about it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, this third poem, it was a series of 3. I'm not going to read the second one just because it's truth be told, I wrote these my junior year of college. They're not that good.
They are.
They're beautifully written.
Well,
you're clearly an amazing writer.
I shared
You're
it
like
with
my sister.
I shared it with my friend and let him read it, and he bawled.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah. But yeah. So the third one, it's titled "You're Not Better Yet." So you get sexually assaulted by the family friend who you trusted because you were 5, by the friend who used you until you were 7, which was when you finally realized that this isn't right. Almost 10 years later, you're still in therapy. It still messes with you. You still smell him. You still get the urge to vomit when your memories collide with your senses and you taste him all over again. You still freeze up with any form of connection or in-depth emotion. I feel like people must wonder, how is she not over that yet? I get it. It's been 13 years. Move on. Yeah, get forced to suck a dick, then tell me when to move on. I mean, you told your parents at 10, you sent them to jail at 14, now you're 20, and just when you thought you were getting better, someone else comes along. Once again, you thought he was a friend, a dearest friend, and he ends up being the same kind of person as the one before, except this friend used alcohol and teens to reach ultimate pleasure. Maybe he's a better type of asshole because at least he didn't destroy a young child's life. That's the problem. There are so many problems, so numerous that you can't get over the first problem because someone else comes along and throws you right back into the fray. How are you supposed to trust anyone? How are you supposed to get through it? You go to therapy and you talk to someone. Talk about your problems and your fears and your thoughts and your nightmares, both in dream and reality. And in 4 years of therapy, you're supposed to be better. Nope, I'm not over it. How are you supposed to get over it? I want a manual, a guidebook, something that will make this make sense. Are you supposed to get through it? Or are you supposed to, day by day, get more resilient to the absolute fact that there are an incredible amount of people that want to suck the life out of you so that they can experience pleasure? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this out.
You're an insane writer.
And sharer the way you're. I don't have words when you share it. I'm sorry. I just get a little.
I know. I get like, I'm like, I don't know even what to say because it's so, I feel it so deep that it's like, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to say.
Becca.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We love you so much.
Thank you for sharing on our platform. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for having the tough conversations. Continue to.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to listeners who were able to listen to this and be uncomfortable with us and be uncomfortable in the conversation because we need to continue to get uncomfortable to get better.
Yes.
The reason it's uncomfortable is because we're not talking about it enough. And the sad thing is the reality.
Yeah.
And if you can't talk about that stuff, it's sexual things that we all do because we're literally humans and we're sexual beings. You should be able to talk about the bad that comes along with sex, along with the good, right?
Love
so
that, Sid.
just I want to say that.
Yes. And thanks, Ashley, for being a supportive friend here. We got Ashley in the house. Jordy, thanks for being here.
Jordy.
AA. Give us a follow at Straight Candid Podcast.
Please.
Leave us a review. And as always, please reach out to Becca. She's open for any feedback or any questions, concerns, if you need any support at all, Becca is the one to go to. I'll tell you that right now.
Find your healing, everybody. We love you.
Love you.
You can write in at our straightcandidpodcast@gmail.com if you have something to say, or if you've got a moment or something you just want to share, and we'll share it with Becca if it wants to go there too. So thank you for listening. Becca, you're an amazing, incredible human being. Continue to share your story and keep opening the door to these conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Holy crap, a room.
Let's quick record our manscape and throw it in the intro. we forgot.
Nah, we don't have to do it.
We don't have to do it?
One. We can
Oh,
skip one.
love it. Okay.
I make sure of it.
Love it.
I was like, nah.
Becca, good job. Give me a hug.
I'm sweating up a storm, boys and girls. I feel good.
Were absolutely
You were amazing.
This was such a good episode.